Hey everybody, Thunder's back. He's back. Well, I wanted to talk about some of the weather things today, and I'll do that in a little bit here. Um, Weather manipulation and drought being those two things, and I just thought I would shoot off some ideas about that. First, I want to talk about the radio thing that I was talking about yesterday. Now, if any of you know, I think this is really important. You know, a lot of people think because I come on here and cuss and I go, ain't this and ain't that, and I use kind of like down home grassroots language that I couldn't be another, pro broadcaster. Well, let me tell you something. One of my skills is that I was a DJ for a while, and I actually, as a kid, went to Columbia School of Broadcasting till I found out it was all a ripoff. Did learn some stuff from that. But when I come on here and I'm just myself and I say ain't and I cuss and all that stuff, doesn't mean that I can't be. Thunderhands here. We're on talk radio today, and I can enunciate and say every word like it's supposed to be said, just like Columbia School of Broadcasting, and I can change the tone of my voice, and I could be a talking head. We all know that, see? So that's what I'm talking about. I can do that. Screw that. That's not me. And if you notice the talking heads, they all sound the same, you know. They come out of that school. They come out of that school of, enunciate and say every word and take that, that happy shit attitude or that semi-serious attitude. Today we have. So I can do that. I can do all that, but why? I'd rather just be myself. And when I get into the kind of like the ain't and don't give a shit and stuff like that, well then, that's just how you'd be talking on the streets, or, ain't and stuff like that is slang terminology, and cussing is, if you knew where some of these words came from, you'd laugh, like, let's take the word F-U-C-K, fornicate upon command of the king. That's where that came from. Fornicate upon command of the king, F-U-C-K, which meant that back in the days of the British days of King Henry or whatever, and he wanted to have an orgy, he would order certain people to be there, certain women, and they'd get a little notice that said, fornicate upon command of the king. True story. Most cuss words, shit, and stuff like that, have that same origin, or same, they're associated with some acronym or something. Or they're associated with something from the Old West. So when I cuss, it's for emphasis, or it's for to express an intense or an intent, an intense thought, or to show intent. Let's put it that way. Now that I got that out of the way, for people that it might be non-believers, in Thunder's ability to go on a show and be interviewed, hell, I can play it real straight. So let's segue here. See, that's a term used in broadcasting, a segue. Let's do a little segue here into the weather. And I was talking about this yesterday, technology, weather, how we're 100 years beyond what people know, how they're using technology to destroy us, how it could be used to help us. Now, I'm trying to figure out, let me give you my qualifications here from a weather viewpoint. When I was station manager in Bullhead, Arizona, next to Laughlin, Nevada, once upon a time, I was station manager, and I was also a pilot, and I also put in a weather station so that the airport there could get certified under FAA regulations. But I was flying and managing the airline ticket counter and all that whole operation. But I also put in a weather station, and at that time I had to get certified as a meteorologist. You get some meteorology when you get your pilot's licenses, but not as in-depth as when you become a certified meteorologist, that test is a real bitch, let me tell you. Being a pilot, those tests are a real bitch, but meteorology is, you got dew points and the spread between the dew point and the temperature and what causes humidity and particles in the air and different kind of clouds, cumulus and cumulonimbus and stratus, and it goes on and on and on. So I know a little bit about the weather, and I know a little bit about it. And I know a little bit about it. Or maybe I know more than a little bit about it. But as much as I know, there's as much that I don't know. Like, I do know that they're doing weather manipulation. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Being a pilot, I know the difference between a jet stream, or not a jet stream, but a vapor trail, and something that looks like chemicals coming out of a nozzle fitted on the back underside of a wing, or just mixed right in with the engine. It can do that too. Spew it out with the engine gases or pollution, how about that, coming out of the back of a jet. And I've seen pictures, I've researched this, I've seen pictures of tanks of aluminum oxide inside an airplane with nozzles attached to the underside of the wing, close-up views. So people, if you don't think that they're spraying chemicals into the atmosphere, and these chemicals are particulates called aluminum oxide, which is deadly. But they're using it to supposedly for weather modification. Now, what is weather modification? Well, weather modification is changing the weather, okay? Creating clouds, creating storms, and they do that through a combination of seeding or spraying this stuff. That's just an old term, seeding. In the old days when the barnstorming type pilots were coming in and they said they'd cause rain and they'd seed a cloud, that meant throwing out some salt, and it worked for a while. I mean, a little while it would cause, but it's the same principle, only this is chemicals. Okay, it's not just salt. I guess salt's a chemical, but this is dangerous chemicals. So anyway, this mixes with other things that they put into the atmosphere through different means, like steam clouds that come up out of these what look like factories but aren't. It's just a way to expel steam into the atmosphere and then some of these particles connect with that steam, and then they shoot out. They have NEXRAD, which are these big balls that look like a soccer ball on the top of a tower. You've seen those around, wondered what those were, huh? NEXRAD, and they shoot out a radar pulse, and all this stuff together. All this stuff together is like a soup. Or making a stew in the sky. And then you have HARP, which is up in Alaska, which is a bunch of radio antennas that shoot 1 billion watts up into the ionosphere. And as a pilot, you learn the ionosphere is a shield around the Earth, kind of like a baby being in the womb. Okay, the Earth is the baby and the ionosphere is the womb. They can shoot these beams up there and actually push out the ionosphere and boom, snap it back down, cause an earthquake or cause a change in the weather or cause whatever. Now this is the kind of technology that I'm saying is 100 years beyond what you would imagine. Most people don't know anything about this. They just think, oh, the weather's bad today, and boy, this weather's getting weird. Why are we having summer in the winter and winter in the summer? And why are we having these extremely high heat indexes, excuse me. See, in broadcasting, that's called sloppy mouth. Indexes. Heat indexes. What are they doing? I mean, that's the bottom line. The question is, okay, so they can change the weather, but why is 2/3 of the country right now, including Southern California and Arizona and parts of the South, why are 2/3, that's a big part of the country, why is 2/3 of the country in a severe, if you look on a map, it's all red blotches, severe drought, and the water table is getting really low, okay? Now, people, as a tracker, let me tell you something about water. It's one of the first things you go for when you're in the wilderness, first one being some kind of shelter. Water comes next, and with fire to purify the water. And then you have food, which is last. But the reason that water comes second on the high priority list is because you can only live 3 days without water. 3 days. Let's put this in perspective. The water table is getting low. There's going to be a lack of water. There already is a lack of water. They're cutting back. Excuse me. They're cutting back on the water that they're giving farmers in California and probably other places too, but I know they're doing it in California. Now when you're cutting back on water to farmers, farming is an important industry in California, so this must be pretty serious, right? Must be pretty friggin' serious. And it's serious in more ways than you can imagine, because then we have a depletion of food sources, and food prices go up. But the heck with the food prices, how about you can't live without water? Now where are they going to get the water? Because California is drying up, Arizona, parts of it. I was just in Williams, they're having a water problem. There's no runoff because there's not enough rain. Now, what are they doing with this? If they're doing cloud seeding and they're creating storms, there might be three possible reasons why they're doing this. Number one is that they're using the technology to create some kind of weather war, whether it be on the civilian population or some enemy, perceived enemy in another part of the world, because weather on the battlefield is a big thing. So it could be that. Well, that's probably included in whatever else I'm going to mention. I'm sure they thought of this. So they're using it, weather wars, but are they using it against the population, or are they using it against just enemies? But see, we're the enemy now. The globalists think the world's overpopulated, so these particles that they're spraying, this could all be a subterfuge for population control. It could be. Not saying it is, but I'm saying it very well could be. Some people think very much that it is. I'll let you decide. I'll let you do your own research. But that's the first possibility, are those two. And then the second one is they're really trying to create more weather. They're really trying to create clouds, or really trying to create rain, because they realize that we're in deep shit because of other factors like pollution that we've known about for what, 30 years, that are from everything that's messing up. Global warming, it's a possibility. Some people say, oh, that's a conspiracy, the right-wingers say that's an Al Gore thing. Hey, this was around long before Al Gore. Trust me. Everybody talked about the weather and the changes in the weather. And there's been El Nino and El Nina, and the ocean warming, and the jet streams in the ocean, and the jet streams in the sky, and all that stuff. But what I'm saying is that possibly the second reason could be that they're trying to make rain because the earth is drying out. It's changing because of all the little parasites called people on the earth that are mistreating Mother Earth. Okay? And so it's come to the point now where the earth is drying out, and there's a lack of drinkable water, and there's a lack of water for the plants. Now, that's another possible scenario. Can we think of any other scenarios? I mean, okay, so they want weather wars, or they want depopulation by spraying weird particles in the sky. But then you have these, and they're doing this, it's been proven, it's fact. They've been doing these experiments on clouds and storms over the United States. Okay? So that's why you have like the polar ice freeze that came down and froze out the whole United States. And then you had Hurricane, what was it, Katrina. That's probably when they really started getting into it. And then you had the Hurricane Sandy, and then we just had a hurricane come up, Baja. And we got some residue from that yesterday, which was a thunderstorm over San Diego. Rare. Very rare. And it didn't even rain, okay? It didn't even rain. There was just clouds and lightning, and where's the rain, people? That's what we need. Well, it probably hit Arizona and Las Vegas and that whole area, from what I hear. But this weather thing is something to be really concerned about, or at least to observe and know about. I don't want you to go running around worrying about it. Something you should definitely take note of, okay, is the water table, okay, and the weather changes. Man, you know, when I was a kid, I used to watch The Twilight Zone. Oh, man. Let me tell you. I saw things on there back then where people were sitting in their apartments and it was hot outside and people were roasting. And man, that's exactly what's happening right now. It's weird. I'm telling you. It's scary. You know. I mean, can we just have nice weather again? Can we just, if they left it alone, you know, the jet stream and the Coriolis effect, which is the rotation of the Earth, I don't know if they're messing with that either. But as a pilot, you learn about the jet stream and how it flows and it changes positions in the winter and summer. And has a normal flow. Well, that's been completely, that flow I've been watching for the last 2 years, that's been completely bizarre. Because the flow normally goes, ooh, kind of a, a wavy thing, not too out of control, but now it's going, whoa, way up, down, high, low. It's doing weird shit, okay? That's not normal. And it's going way up north and pulling down the polar vortex ice cap, and then it's, bouncing back up and pulling shit up from Mexico, and it's staying in one position for a long, long time and just doing weird, weird stuff. That's not normal. And there's been a lot of weird cloud formations. One of them, derecho. It's called derecho, where a line of thunderstorms will come across in a solid line for miles and miles and miles across the whole United States, almost like a dust storm, and just sweep, but then disappear. Dump a bunch of rain, or then they've had haboobs, which are huge dust storms like in Phoenix and in areas of the desert that are just huge. So if this isn't enough to kind of like, bingo, make a little thing go off in your head about what's going on with the weather. See, I said going instead of going. See, that's another broadcasting no-no. You have to say going. You can't say going. Oh, I say going, okay? Because people feel comfortable with that, and I do too. It means you're not a programmed talking head. Where was I here? Okay, so we have these, the haboobs and the derecho storms, which means line of impacted thunderstorms, all in a row. And then you had the Sandy incident in New York that froze all those people and collided with a cold front coming down from the north and a hot front coming up. Now, when you have a cold front and hot front together, traveling in the same direction or possibly colliding, it's called an occluded front. Occluded. Well, this was beyond occluded. This was like too heavy duty. A cold front and a hot front smashing into one another, not coinciding or overcoming slowly. An occluded front tends to overcome slowly, you know, the hot with the cold or the cold with the hot. But this shit that was going on with Sandy years back, I don't know, a year or two, I don't know, I lose track of time, but that was unheard of, and that was definitely caused by weather modification, because they have pictures of these perfectly round radar rings that are being pinged out, and then boom, all of a sudden these clouds form, and whoop, there you go. Created another one of them puppies. So people, that's what weather modification is, because I talk to some people and they still think that I'm in la la land. Like when I travel or I tell people, yep, they're messing with the weather here, and they look at me like, what? People are just, I hate to say it, but they're ignorant. Not that they're ignorant people, that when I say ignorant or stupid, I mean stupid of the facts or ignorant of the facts. I'm not trying to put them down. They just don't know. But the thing is, I mean, I guess the problem I have with these people is that open up your minds, will ya? Get out of your friggin' mindset to where you can't listen to something and think, maybe this guy's got a point, and not think, oh, this guy's a conspiracy theorist, or he's a survivalist, or he's this, or he's... Can't they just friggin' look around? Can't they just look around and see with their own eyes? Do they need an interpreter? Do they need anybody that they can call a conspiracy theorist or a weirdo? Or, I mean, I got credentials, people. I don't get out here and spout this shit if I don't know what I'm talking about. But you don't even have to know what you're talking about. All you got to do is feel and look around and look at what's going on with the weather. I mean, when you see winter in the summer, like I said before, and snow in the middle of summer, duh. And people have always got an excuse. Oh, that happened back in 18... Come on. I'll take this one step further. I don't want to keep this video too long, because I know I have a tendency to rant like I did yesterday, or the last video. But coupled with this, are you ready? We have movement in the sun that's a little intense right now too. It's been a long time since we've had X-class flares that come off the sun from sunspots. That's happening now. The last time that it was really, really intense was back in the 1800s. And it actually burnt the telegraph wires. Okay, that's all they had in the way of electronics back then, and it burnt them up. And huge auroras appeared all over the United States, so much so that it seemed like daylight. Now, if this would happen now, and it could very well happen now, because Michio Kaku, who is a Japanese physicist of the highest order, and others, say that this is almost probable. And if that happens, it won't burn up telegraph wires, it will burn up all the circuit boards in the satellites that are made out of silver and different wiring in the satellites that control all the computers, because everything that's controlled on Earth is controlled by satellites. And not only that, but it'll burn up the computers on Earth, some of the control facilities for water, power, that type of thing. It would be disastrous, okay? Because everything would shut down. Everything. I'm talking water's run by computers, electricity. Just thinking about it makes me shudder. So you can couple that with this weather thing. You look at the big picture here like a hawk flying above the earth, looking down on it all, you see that we're in deep shit, okay? And that's not even, I'm not even going to talk about anything else today. I've already talked about it. I'm just talking about the weather right now and water. And water is something that we need to survive. What are they going to do? Bottle up water? And well, they're already doing it, but I mean, are they going to charge for water? Well, they charge for water, I guess, already. Because there's water bills, or has been. But what about when there's no more water and the water prices go way, way up and only the elite can get water? Well, there's ways to get water. If you're a tracker, you know ways out of plants, and you can make little condensation stills. That's what they should be doing. They should be using this technology, and they should be building things like condensation. I'll get that out. Condensation stills. Just like these old moonshiners used to make stills. You can make a still that just gets water out of the air. They could make huge ones. Leave the air alone. Let condensation come up from the ocean, clouds. They're messing it up. We are, as a species, messing up the planet. The natural flow of condensation and nuclei, we don't need to mess with it with all this cloud seeding and all this stuff. We need to stop the friggin' pollution of the atmosphere. Clean it up, or we're all going to die of thirst and starvation and just bizarre things, weather, and the particulates that they're spraying in the sky. I mean, think about it, okay? I'm going to end this video. But I thought that thought came into my mind today because of the extreme weather that we're having in San Diego right now. Extreme. It really hits home like when it's hitting you. Okay, so everybody better get down on their knees and pray to whatever God they form or whatever higher power they go to. And it works, even if you're praying to yourself. Because it changes your consciousness, and then you project that out there. If you feel that we deserve some kind of relief from this, from your higher power or the higher power, get down on your knees or do meditation and send out those thoughts, hey, we need your help. We need help here. Or create help for us on this planetary level here, and get rid of these jokers somehow that are messing with the weather. Man isn't happy until he screws himself over and destroys himself and everybody else. What's the deal with that? Why is man self-destructive? Why does he want to annihilate other men and himself? Himself, herself. So anyway, feel like making a comment on this, let me know. And Thunder can always use communication with different people that are interested in being in a kindred relationship and in this circle, and maybe even want to help me get some kind of radio thing going here. Campfire Council is the place to go. Check that out. I think that's going to pop up here, or it's already down in the show notes. Trying to get caught up on videos here so that people will know that, yeah, Thunder's still around. I've been working on some other projects. I just have to let go and concentrate now on the new thing, which is we got to replace some of these alternative media idiots and the mainstream idiots and get down to real truth radio and interviewing people that matter and tell the truth. We got to really start in cutting edge on this thing. So let's do it, people. Get in contact with me. Sponsorship, I'm feeling, is the key here. If people are interested, they can sponsor by advertising, like you people out there that have retail stores or have a little bit of cash in the bank and you want to perpetuate truth, and you know, everybody should be doing their thing, something to support perpetuating the real truth, making sure that the knowledge is disseminated to the peoples out there. That's all we could do, is disseminate information that is helpful to peoples on the planet. So, bing! Did you hear that little bing? That was my phone. Well, that's probably a good sign for me to just say adios right now, and I'll get back to you when I can. Might not be tomorrow, might not be the next day, but then again it could be. This is Thunder. To all you kindred spirits out there, much love and peace from the one eye of the heart. Over and out.